Hi, I'm Mike Moon, State Representative for Lawrence County, and I'm here today with Keith Carmichael. He's the State Director for the Convention of States project, and I have a few questions for him about the Article 5 process. Keith, what is an Article 5?
Well, it's in the Constitution. That's the first thing I like to remind folks. It's right there after 4 and before 6. It's simple math. It's not there by accident. It's kind of it's not a spare part. It's not an afterthought. It's really a very important part of the Constitution that helps maintain the balance between federal and state.
And what specifically does Article 5 say, just in paraphrase?
Well, I have to say I had no idea. Being busy and going about my life for 50 plus years, and I had no idea what was in Article 5, and I had to go find out. And I was really surprised to find out that states can get together and call a meeting, and in that meeting they can constitutionally, it's the only constitutional venue which states can provide proposals. They're going to propose amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
So is an Article 5 for rewriting the entire Constitution?
Well, if you listen to some opponents, it's a dangerous process, it's terrible, it's something the founders really messed up on, but actually it's in there to help balance power. George Mason was one of the framers that really didn't trust any politician, any governments, and didn't trust people, but he trusted this process, and he's one of the people that helped reinsert it into the Constitution when it was left out at some point. And it has nothing to do with rewriting the Constitution. People will say sometimes, well, our Constitution's not broken. Mm-hmm. Actually, it would be broken. It would be lacking if it didn't have this process in it. It's a state-led process. We have 27 amendments to the U.S. Constitution now. All of those have been proposed by Congress. But we wouldn't have the first 10, or the Bill of Rights, if it weren't for this process. It was the states threatened to have a convention of states if they didn't go ahead and put the Bill of Rights, and so then the federal government proposed those.
So I'm looking here at Article 5 right now, and it says that this meeting, as you call it, can be called for the purpose of proposing amendments. So it's not for rewriting the Constitution, but proposing specific amendments. And why would we need to propose amendments?
Well, we've relied on Congress. We've trusted them to not go beyond their power. We can kind of see how that's worked out for us. I don't know if you're familiar with Waters of the United States, EPA, you're familiar with just simple overreach. The legislative process is, according to the Constitution, is supposed to be, Congress is supposed to do that. Actually, we have the executive branch is now legislating. We have legislation that's, judicial activism. And so this allows the states to make proposals that never would be made by Congress. They're not going to make proposals that take away their own power. That's just not going to happen. And so those proposals can't be ratified unless they're proposed. So, when Congress proposes an amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the states, it requires 3/4 of the states to ratify those. And these are ratified exactly the same way, regardless of whether Congress proposes or whether the states propose. The simple fact is it's like a board meeting that's never happened. There's not been any, whose job is it to watch over, for federal oversight? It turns out the framers were brilliant. They put this responsibility in the hands of people we know, people we're close to. They put the power, the real ultimate power, in the Constitution in your hands, state legislators.
So what you're saying is, if we ever get to a point that the federal government is usurping power and taking over authority that they really haven't been given as enumerated in the Constitution, then Article 5 is a process that can rein in their power and authority and return it properly back to the states. And so I think we've come to that point. I think you had mentioned some things that are egregious overreaches, and Article 5 is an important process, and we need to get there. And so if you want more information, I encourage you to go to conventionofstates.com, check for updates, and sign up. We'll send you some updates, and you can keep track of the progress going on in the Missouri House with HCRs 57 and 64. And contact us with our emails that are listed at the bottom of the page, or give us a call. And again, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we'd love to hear from you.